It's a crazy world, space food. Love talking space food. And to chat to us more about this, Andrea Boyd is with me. Andrea is the deputy of astronaut operations at the European Space Agency. Ah, what a cool title. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's great. I'm originally from Adelaide, so always love talking about space things in my home country.
Oh, I'm from Adelaide too. Don't tell anyone. It seems like Australia is leading the way for space food research. Is that right?
Yeah, so at the moment, as you mentioned, we've come a very long way from, tubes and chalky space food. So right now, the space food that we have, we've got space food labs with all of the International Space Station partner countries. And you could, open the packages and put it on a plate and serve it in a restaurant. It's very tasty. I have taste tested and sampled many things from lots of the countries' offerings. We've got, vegetables and fruits and complete dishes. Even lobster bisque, for example, was one we had from France recently. And yeah, the important thing is to have we have thermostabilization or freeze-dried now for the preparation usually, and it has a shelf life of 2 years, doesn't need a fridge, but still incredibly tasty and nutritious. But then looking forward to the future, we're not going to have the convenience of being able to get to the space station within a day or even within a few hours. So what are we going to do long term? So that's why they're looking at incorporating things like duckweed into the life support systems where you can both grow food source and also produce oxygen as well for longer duration exploration missions. And that's where the Australian universities come into it.
Oh my goodness. So there'd be a little veggie patch, I guess, the equivalent on space, growing duckweed.
Yeah, so we've got this Plants for Space collaboration, which is amazing. And as mentioned, we've got a lot of resources in Australia that we can work with for that. And it's really cool because this one is Australia-wide as well. We've got University of Western Australia, Adelaide, La Trobe, Mine, ARC, Andy Thomas Centre, plus European and US universities all working together to create future food sources for astronauts and explorers in space.
So how far have we come? I just mentioned before having some sort of paste in tubes. Was that the scenario? Where did it begin and where are we now?
Yeah, absolutely. They didn't know what to expect in the early days. So, they sent up things in tubes similar to what you get with army rations, but a bit worse. And then now, as I mentioned, we've got lobster, we've got amazing cakes and veggies and risotto and tiramisu and lots of things. And we also have a really cool program with the European Space Agency that we have the astronauts pick for their mission their 5 favourite dishes from their home country, and we'll get a chef from that country to partner with one of the space food labs to turn it into real space food. So in addition to all of the dietitian and highly nutritious food that we have for regular meals, we also have some really fun additional food for each of the European missions as well, and that's one of my hats is making those and taste testing it on the way, which is really amazing. Like I said, you could serve it in a restaurant. Yeah.
Okay, so you don't notice the difference. That's amazing. So what's in there that's different than food we just buy at a restaurant here on Earth?
So it's mainly in the preparation, as mentioned. So you need it to not need a fridge. It can't have too much salt. It can't have crumbs. You don't want crumbs flying over the space station and getting in equipment. It can't be too physically heavy. That's why we remove the water for the dehydrated foods, and then they can add hot or cold water depending what the dish is, and things like that. So you've got a few different considerations, but it's mostly in the preparation and making sure that it's stabilized and has this 2-year shelf life for use for the astronauts.
Has there been a situation where food has gone off in space?
No. The thermostabilization and the freeze drying is extremely good, and no, we have no issues with that. Yeah.
Phew, that's really good. What a unique job that you have, Andrea.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for speaking to us about it. What's next?
No worries.
What are you working on now?
Well, at the moment, so we're working on future things, and Australia's got even more roles in that as well, actually. So there's a really nice program where we've sent seeds to the International Space Station. So it's called Seeds in Space, and Australian schools can be a part of that experiment. So you can request from Seeds in Space to grow in your classroom the seeds that have been on orbit and see what the differences are with Earth seeds. So any Australian school can participate in that. And then looking even further forward, we're looking at the Deep Space Food Challenges, and we've just had a big international competition, and one of the winners was actually a Melbourne-based team called the Gaia Project that won the international prize for that as well. So Australia is, small but mighty, and certainly through the future research, we're going to have a big part, I think, in space food for future astronauts.
So amazing. And I have to ask this: how do you keep the food from staying on your plate in space?
Surface tension helps a lot. Surface tension is quite amazing.
Sorry, what's that?
Surface tension. So surface tension is really strong in space. So that mostly, they'll eat it directly out of the bag or the tin or the pouch, or for the ones they add water to, they've got a straw adapter that they can drink it through.
Okay.
So, but anything that kind of comes out, surface tension is your best friend. We've even done pizza in space with that as a special treat for some of the Italians, and it works quite well.
Wait, so they're drinking. How do they eat the pizza?
Oh no, the pizza is with surface tension. So if you put the sauce on pizza, which we use kind of wraps, because wraps don't have crumbs, there's not many other forces acting against it. So the sauce will stick really well to the wrap, and then they can add toppings to that, and it sticks extremely well too. So that physics works for us in space quite well, and they can. It doesn't usually fly away, but if they do, then the astronauts, they're pretty skilled at catching things mid-air as well. So that's also an important skill for the crew.
Amazing. What a great visual. Thank you so much, Andrea. I really appreciate that.
No worries.
Andrea Boyd there. Andrea is the Deputy of Astronaut Operations for the European Space Agency.